Hi, what's up everyone? Welcome back to my video channel. Before we get started, I have to announce that it was the first day or the new year of the 2022. So happy new year everyone. Alright, let's back to the video. So today I'm going to share some aspects about how to read score in an effective way on Chopin Ballade number 4 opus 52 in F minor. Now, right off the bat, this piece is already considered a masterpiece that Chopin has ever made in the 19th century. This piece was written in 1842, by the time he was in the late life, along with another works, Erotic Polonaise Opus 53 and the Fourth Scherzo Opus 54 was also made during these years. Now let's take a look at the Chopin Ballade Opus 52. Many pianists around the world has learned this piece, and they usually found when they are learning and playing, they found a very hard time because the many voice parts, demanding techniques, expressions, and lots of things to read on the score. Yeah, it is kind of frustration when you are choosing and trying to perform this piece, even in memorized. But have you wondering how was possible that they can accomplish such a significant work for this piece? Now, I'm going to tell you some truths about this one because there are some effective ways to read on the score that you will have a lot more easier time to find and trying to learn. Since this is the hard piece to take note of, and for my business purposes, I have to divide it into 3 episodes. So the first episode we were going to take a look is from the opening introduction to the end of the theme one. So let's begin. First off, let's take a look at the phrases that have been organized throughout the score roughly. There are introduction, theme 1, theme 2, development, and recapitulation with the coda. Well, this piece was treated more likely in the sonata style because it has a recapitulation that repeats exactly like the introduction, theme 1, theme 2 that you have seen in the opening, etc. So this is considered a masterpiece. It actually has the sonata-like style ballad. So let's start from the opening of the introduction. First, look at the purple circles that it was the F minor that I mentioned earlier. It had 4 accidentals: B sharp, E sharp, A sharp, and D sharp. But when you hear the opening, it sounds very strange because throughout the analysis, it shows the C major. As we can see, there are some many voice parts. Let's take off as the red one. So the red one is the very top line with actually an octave for first voice part, which is very important. It contains the main melody throughout the right hand. But when the melody has been decorated by the chords, things will get interesting. Let's take a look at the blue circle. It has a 16 notes patterns with repeated notes like the C, B flat C, A natural C, G B flat, B natural, and G C, as we can see on the score on the first line. So this take place for the dominant and predominant, like the function of the C major, shows the simple progression literally. And there are some highlighted areas that has the difficulty to practice. First is on the second bar of the first 3 beats. When your hands are small, this will find you struggling when you're practicing the octave G to B flat and C legato. Fully legato, it was found something has trouble in it. So it should have take a long time to practice, and also occurs on the fourth beat of the third bar. So this bar contains the melody inside the voices. As I mentioned, write it down in the green triangle. So this shows the G, A flat, A minor, A natural, and G, and right hand E natural, F, and E natural. This is called the neighbor tones, but it has the decorative for the melody like the counterpoint. Because as you can see, there are long notes for the E natural. It was a phrase of the sentence, but it also had some murmurs. So I think this part should be decorated for G, A natural G for the inside voices. It was very important for this one too. What's more interesting about this part is that The octave, as I mentioned earlier, was combined with the 16 patterns on the lower tone. Like the first one, we saw the G on the thumb. It contains two-part melodies. So this is called the mixed style for the melody on this introduction. The next part brings out the first theme. As we saw on the score, it has the traditional nocturne-like style. For 3 beats in a row and in two groups, the beat pattern is 6/8 for this score, so it actually have the nocturne feeling. It simply goes through the F minor, A flat major, which is the relative major, and go to the F minor with the combination of the B flat minor dominant, and go through the theme again and repeat all the themes all the way to measure 37. Besides, the red rectangle shows the difference of the first time and the second time of the themes repeating, with the difference of 16 notes. So keep in mind for practice and try to use the correct fingerings. In this part, it is more expressive. As we can see, there are lots of dynamic changes like the crescendo and decrescendo, diminuendo and dolce, like many kind of expressions. I strongly recommend it to read the notes and play the notes first without using the music dynamic after you are getting well with the all notes accuracy, and then you can add it the score like the diminuendo and crescendo so on to polish the pieces and try to learn in an effective way. Don't worry about the music at first, try to read the score first. Starting from measure 38, this here is an episode what I call for the purpose of connecting two themes and separate them with the bridge. Well, this part has the different keys. First is the G flat major and go through four measures and go to F flat major and go through the E minor of the dominant harmony. It keeps the pianissimo most of the time, but the right hand the top notes was always the priority. So pay attention to do a such the color. After that, there is a dialogue for the polyphonic structure on the right hand that I wrote it on the blue and red circles. The soprano and the inner voices of the right hand shows the dialogue between them and continues all the way to the 56 with a very long pause for the G flat notes with the strong dynamic and continue to finish the structure for the theme. Alright, the next measures from 58 is one of the hardest part in the overall pieces. It has the polyphonic function that repeats the theme one, and we can see there are several levels of details. First, the red one, as usual, it is the main melody, and this part you will find very hard to highlight the all melodies on the top note because there are so many chords, so many notes you should always pay attention. Now, I bet you're wondering, how does Chopin wrote such a very significant pieces for this brilliant part? Well, the reason is that if you see on the pink and blue circles, you can see there are lots of neighbor tone relationship and passing tone relationship for the inside voices. Just like the first bar of the 58 as the third beat of this, it has G and F. But throughout the analysis, we found that it starts as the tonic for the F minor, so the G is just simply function as the passing tone. With a lot of passing tones, neighbor tones, and the double note supports, this becomes the very tough one that you will ever face on in this piece. To some degree, this part is just like the Bach fugue, so it contains many voice parts as I mentioned earlier. As we can see also on the fourth line, there are three voice parts, each circled in blue, red, and yellow. So it's a good idea to play when you are practicing the separate voice part. For example, like the middle one, especially on the middle one, because when you connect it with the top line, your fingers do not lift on the very top. Thus, you will have a great time to control all the notes. What's more about this part is from measure 68, it suddenly changed to both octaves on both hands and disappeared the polyphonic style like we see on the earlier. The right hand became the chorus, and the left hand suddenly has the rapid 16 notes octave. You probably have the hard time to read this, but I divide it into three parts. Let's take a look at the first green circle. I divide it into three parts. The first five notes is a chromatic scale for from starting from G flat to E flat and then C, which is also called the B flat dominant, the B flat major dominant, minor dominant, and then the following three is the diminished triad of the F minor, that is E, E natural, G, B flat, and D flat. And then the final three one is changed to Neapolitan of the flat 2 for G flat, D flat, and G flat. The next measure repeats the same thing, and the third measure suddenly changed into B flat minor scale, and then with a diminished triad completely. Another thing you should take note of is the dynamic. This part is generally in growing dynamic from piano to fortissimo. So try to arrange the dynamic in an even style, but not push it too harsh, neither too harsh or too early, so that you will not have enough space to do that. Alright, so the next part brings up the transition between the two-part themes. It starts from continuing with the B flat minor with the dominant scale, which is in F, but as we can see on the first line, there is labeled with somewhat like the chromatic scale, chromatic sequence. It starts from the G sharp and then goes G flat and then go to A flat, B flat, C natural, which is considered whole tone progression. Not only found in left hand, but the right hand chords, the top notes and the bottom note chords are also being found for this pattern. Like this one I labeled with the yellow circle and the blue one labeled one, brackets. After that, it has the passing tones like chromatic passing tones for supporting the F dominant, which is located in the dominant scale of B flat minor, as I written in pink and red one above. After that, the right hand brings out the theme that was located in right of the B flat major, starting from the scale of the pentatonic with D natural, C, B flat, G natural, and F, and suddenly brings up the two different types. One is the dominant and one is the tonic that I mentioned above in minor 7 chord. An interesting thing about the arpeggio progression is that the right hand and left hand are working together on the later two bars. Left hand just simply copies the right hand and do exactly with the parallel major 6 or minor 6 in style. Another chromatic sequence was also be found just before 4 bars before the theme 2. As we can see on the green highlight areas, so it starts from dominant to F, which is B flat, and dominant to A, and dominant to G, dominant to F, and finally turns off the tonic to the B flat major. Something special about this part is that it used the traditional four voice part style that was already seen, was familiar on the second ballad, which is opus 38 on the opening. So it's just similar to this pattern. So trying to figure out the bottom notes and the top notes on the right hand, and that will become an excellent way to practice in this part. Alright, so these are the first part that I want to take the note of for some effective way to look through the score on the Chopin Ballade number 4. And hopefully enjoy the video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And looking forward to the next episode. Bye for now.